What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this, we have Americans can't believe what India's Jaishankar just said. Savage replies by Jaishankar. And before we dive into this, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to smash subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up. Also, if you'd like to support the channel further, all you gotta do is hit the join button to become a member and receive your exclusive benefits. I'm so excited to hear what Jaishankar said. Take it away.
This is Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar, India's External Affairs Minister, the man who has redefined what it means to be a diplomat in the 21st century, the man who does not bend under pressure, but makes the world pause and listen. A voice of reason in chaos, a master of words in silence. He does not chase the world's approval, he commands its respect. In every hall, in every press room, he stands as India's shield and India's voice, unshaken, unapologetic, unstoppable. And these are 5 unforgettable moments when he faced the world's toughest questions and left even the sharpest critics with nothing to say. The setting was familiar, a foreign journalist raising the old tired accusation. With a sharp undertone, he asked whether South Asia would ever know peace, hinting that terrorism spread from Delhi, Kabul, and India itself. He even dragged in the Kashmir issue, waving the banner of outdated UN resolutions as if history had not moved forward. For decades, such questions had been India's burden. They framed the country as the problem, not the victim. They painted Pakistan's export of terror as conflict and India's self-defense as aggression. But this time, the response was different. Jaishankar did not flinch. He did not apologize. He turned the question on its head. Calmly, almost surgically, he said, "The wrong minister has been asked. If the journalist wanted to know how long terrorism would continue, he should ask the ministers of Pakistan, because they are the ones who sponsor it." The room went silent.
I know that's my guy right there. I'm telling you, bro, the administration in India, the leadership in India right now, they do not bend or bow to anyone. They don't see any other country or any other ministers as above them. They don't see them as below them. But they're not looking up like, we're India, we're just happy to be in the room. No, no, no. India will be treated as equals. You feel me? Whether you like it or not. We ain't finna bend the knee. We ain't finna just do what you say. We finna do what's in the best interest of India. Jaishankar talked to him. And I love that he said, called out Pakistan because they need to be called out for that terror.
And then he delivered the blow. The world is not blind. The world is not forgetful, and the world is not stupid. Countries that fuel terrorism can no longer hide behind rhetoric. They are being called out, exposed, and remembered for what they are. In one moment, India's position was clear. No longer would it play defense in this debate. The accusation was flipped back to where it truly belonged. Months later, another press hall, another pointed question. This time it came from Europe. The journalist, with a tone of superiority, demanded to know why India was importing Russian oil during the war in Ukraine. The implication was sharp. India was undermining sanctions. India was feeding Moscow's war machine. This question, too, carried weight. Western capitals wanted the world to see India as opportunistic, morally compromised. But Jaishankar was ready with numbers, facts, and fire. He reminded the room that between February and November, the European Union itself had imported more fossil fuels from Russia than the next 10 countries combined. European oil imports were 6 times higher than India's. Gas imports? Infinite times, because India imports none. Even coal imports from Europe were 50% more than India's. And then came the dagger. Perhaps Europe should look at its own record before pointing fingers at India. This was not just an answer. It was a mirror.
It's a fact, bro. And I absolutely love it because just the gall, the audacity for you to condemn me for buying oil from Russia when you are also buying oil, when you are buying energy, when you are buying these different things. How can you sit there with a straight face and try to condemn me for buying oil when you're buying all of this. That's what I tell you, man. Thank you, Jaishankar, for calling out that hypocrisy. Like I said, they not standing for this BS no more.
Held up to the hypocrisy of those who sought to lecture India while practicing double standards themselves. For millions of Indians watching, it was a moment of vindication. For
Mm-hmm.
once, the Western press was forced to confront the uncomfortable truth that their own governments were guilty of what they accused others of. The pressure did not stop there. Soon another reporter stood up, armed with a statement from Josep Borrell, the European Union's foreign policy chief. He had suggested that India was laundering Russian crude by refining it into oil products and selling it back to Europe. A veiled threat of sanctions hung in the air. This was a serious charge. If believed, it could damage India's credibility. But once again, Jaishankar's response was calm, factual, and devastating. He pointed out the very rule Europe itself had written. Under Council Regulation 833 of 2014, once crude is substantially transformed in a third country, it is no longer considered of Russian origin. That was Europe's law, not India's loophole. In that single answer, Jaishankar exposed the hollowness of the question. The journalist had come expecting India to squirm. Instead, the minister reminded him of his own council's regulations.
I love it. I love it. He threw your own rule book in your face. He threw your own. Look, he's y'all wrote this. I ain't write this. These y'all rules and regulations. Y'all the ones who say if it's substantially transformed, it is no longer Russian origin. Therefore, we're doing nothing wrong. We're playing by the rules that y'all wrote. So how can y'all be mad at us?
The implication was clear. India was not breaking rules. It was following the rules that Europe itself had drafted. And in doing so, India showed it was not a junior partner in this debate. It was an equal, confident in its choices, unapologetic in its sovereignty. The next challenge was not about wars or oil, but about democracy itself. A Western journalist referred to reports by Freedom House and VDem, organizations that had downgraded India's democratic scores. He asked if this so-called backsliding would affect India's rise as a global power. The undertone was unmistakable. India, for all its growth, was still being judged. Its
Mm,
rise was conditional on Western approval, but Jaishankar refused to play that game.
I
He
love it. I
dismissed the
love it. I
reports
love
as biased, riddled
it.
with inaccuracies, and shaped by ideology. He pointed out a deeper truth, that the real discomfort was not about democracy at all, but about
Mm,
India's refusal to seek validation from the West. It was
mm,
hypocrisy, he said, for self-appointed custodians of the world to dictate how India should be perceived. India's legitimacy came not from foreign ratings, but from the mandate of its own people. For Indian viewers, this was a deeply emotional moment. For centuries, the nation had been subjected to outside judgment, colonial, political, academic. Now its foreign minister was declaring, on record, that India would define itself, not wait for a stamp of approval. And then came the storm from Canada.
mm,
In the wake of a political row, journalists asked Jaishankar if India had been provided with intercepted documents implicating its officials in a controversial killing. The framing was sharp. Had India seen the evidence? Yes or no? Here was the trap. A simple yes could be twisted as admission, a no as denial. But Jaishankar
mm,
did not fall for it. He explained with clarity. India had received no documents, no evidence. He
mm,
repeated what he had said before. If relevant, specific information were provided, India would examine it.
mm,
Until then, there was nothing to look at. And then, with calm finality, he posed his own rhetorical question. If such documents existed, would India not already be looking at them? In that
mm.
moment, the noise of speculation collapsed.
It's like, yeah, like, and it don't take no looking behind closed doors. To me, it's common sense. When he says something like that, I'm like, I mean, yeah, it's common sense. Like, he makes very good point. I just feel like Justin Carr definitely he don't fold in most of the like I said. of the Indians I've watched in government or leadership positions, they don't fold when asked questions. They're ready for almost anything, and it's incredible how prepared they are for any and everything. And like they're not taking crap. They are going to call out hypocrisy. They're going to call out unfairness. They will call out injustice. They will call it out. So I'm a big fan of India, as you can tell.
The pressure of insinuation broke. The journalist was left with no further line of attack. These 5 moments were not isolated exchanges. Together, they represented a shift in India's place in the world. For decades, Indian leaders often answered foreign accusations defensively, cautiously, sometimes even apologetically. But
Mm,
Jaishankar's style is different. He does not just defend India, he reclaims the narrative. He refuses to accept the premise of unfair questions. He
mm,
calls out hypocrisy, cites
mm,
hard data, and reminds the world that India has earned its place at the table. And
mm.
behind his words lies something bigger, the pride of 1.4 billion people who will
Preach,
no longer be spoken down to. In
preach.
every hall, in every press room, in every exchange, one truth emerges.
Mm,
India is no longer seeking validation. It is seeking respect. For too long, the world has demanded something from India. Its
mm,
resources, its
mm,
soldiers, its markets, its silence. But rarely has the world been willing to give India the dignity it deserves. Through Jaishankar, the world now sees a nation that will not bend to guilt trips, will not bow to double standards, and will
mm.
not be silenced. Today, the world hears India's voice, calm, clear, unapologetic. And tomorrow, as more nations rise, they too will remember this example, that true respect is never handed down, it is earned. The question is no longer whether India is ready for the world. The real question is the world ready for an India that refuses to apologize?
Mm. I don't think the world ready for that. No, I think India is an absolutely incredible country. I think the leadership in India right now is just absolutely amazing. Maybe the best leadership in the world. Um, just the way they're doing things, the way they answer questions, the way they. I just think India just no longer looks at some. I mean, I guess I don't know if it did in a sense. Just since I've started reacting to them, India doesn't look at any other country as above them or any other people as more important than them or anything. They see everybody else as equals and they treat everybody else as equals. And they will only allow themselves to be treated as equals and nothing less. And I absolutely respect that. That's all we have. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up. Check out the next, and I'll see y'all next time.